Hello and welcome to Real Talk, Real Women, the podcast that was designed to equip, inspire, motivate, and empower the woman, her life, and her business as you redefine, rediscover, and reintroduce the new you unapologetically. Now, here are your hosts, Martha Cooper Hudson and Adrienne Johnson.
Hello, hello, hello to all of my awesome and amazing girlfriends and a few good men who's listening to our show today. My name is Martha Cooper Hudson, your extractor of purpose, your comeback coach, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to Real Talk, Real Women, the podcast that was designed and created to equip, inspire, motivate, and empower the woman, her life, and her business. Today, I'm joined in the Real Talk studio by my co-host, my hot sauce to my fish, my Gail to this Oprah, my peanut butter to that jelly, my girlfriend, Miss Adrienne M. Johnson. Adrienne, welcome to the studios.
Hey, everybody. And I just want to say, if you don't know me by now, you will never, ever, ever know me. Ooh, hey, everybody.
Girl, I almost broke out.
Come on now.
Almost broke out. With the ooh, ooh.
Yes.
Ooh, ooh.
The ooh, ooh, ooh.
But unfortunately, God didn't gift me with the voice to sing, but he gave me the voice to speak life. So I am going to speak life and leave the singing up to my fish, my hot sauce, the person who understands her gift, and that is her lane and is not mine. But on the show today,
Yes.
we will talk about how I lost myself in the midst of everyone else.
Yes.
We will share why it's imperative to not lose me, myself, and I, and why you must rediscover her after the name changes.
That's right.
After the titles.
That's right.
Okay. On our show today, we are joined by two amazing women who happen to be mothers, wives, and boss women who will share with our listeners how they lost themselves in the midst of everyone else. My first guest is an athletic director and the proud owner of B.E.A.M officiating programs, where she trained teenagers to become officials in the game of basketball. Please welcome Miss Melinda Cloud to the show. Melinda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. You are my mentor, my coach. You are so loved by me, and I really appreciate you thinking enough of me to invite me. So thank you so much, Martha.
Oh, thank you for being here. And then my second guest. She's not only my soror, she's not only a woman of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. See how I had to say that name? Okay. But our second guest is your academic preparation mentor who teaches parents and students how to successfully transition from middle school to high school with her 5 E's to Succeed blueprint. I want you all to give a warm round of applause for Miss Cristal Watson. Cristal, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very honored to be here, very blessed to be here. Thank you for pushing me out my comfort zone. So I'm excited. Looking forward to the conversation.
Great, great, great. So I am so excited to have you here and have Melinda here with us in the Real Talk studios. See, over the last 20 years, ladies, of being a wife, a mother, and a boss woman, I will be the first to admit that I lost myself within the name change and the title changes so much that when I looked into the mirror one day, I didn't know who the heck I was. I couldn't recognize the woman that was once full of determination, drive, and dreams. What I saw in that mirror, ladies, was Michael's wife and Joel and Mason's mom. And I needed desperately to find her again. And that is when I started on my journey to rediscover me, myself, and I, the three most important people in my life. But so often, women, we are taught that being selfish, that it's selfish to put yourself first, and that you should always take care of others before fulfilling your needs. Yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you today in the Real Talk studio and to all of our listeners that that is a bold-faced lie.
Yes. Absolutely.
If I've ever heard one. The truth is you must put your oxygen mask on first before you can save anyone else. Absolutely. And as my kids would say, period.
That's right. Period. With the T.
With the T. Yes, ladies, with the T. So, ladies, let us take about 10 to 12 minutes to actually talk about how easy it is to lose yourself in the midst of marriage, motherhood, and career. And why is that? And Cristal, we'll start with you. Why is it so easy for women to lose ourselves in the midst of marriage, motherhood, and or career? And why do you think so?
So for me, I think it has a lot to do with your upbringing. I was a child that was raised, I'm the oldest, and so it was always expected that I would do well. And so growing up, I had a false sense of expectation. I put the heightened expectation on me.
Right.
Not necessarily that my parents did it. Mine was higher. So I always felt like I never measured up and that I had to go out of the way to do for others and be for others to even be seen. So I grew up feeling invisible. So I didn't discover me until I got to college.
Wow.
And so I find that if the later you discover who you are, the easier it is to lose it. Because no sooner than I graduated and life became life and I got married, that's when I began immediately to lose myself.
Wow.
Because everybody else mattered. I was not on the list. I was not the priority. So I think the sooner you find a stronger sense of who you are and start to tap into what your purpose may be, even if it changes, the harder it is to lose it when you get older.
Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely. Wow. That's really, really good. That's really good. And Melinda, I want you, that's powerful. Wow.
Yeah, that was very profound.
Because you said that you found yourself later, that you were always that one that wanted to please everyone else.
Yep.
And because of that, and because you did not realize and recognize how great you really were until you were older, it allowed you to be able to lose her again because you didn't have that foundation.
That's right.
Sure. You were creating it along the way, but when you're building a house, you have a solid foundation from the beginning. Wow, that's powerful.
That's right.
That's very powerful. Melinda, share with us why it's so easy for women, including yourself, to lose who you are in the midst of your marriage, your being a mother, your career. And why is it so easy for us to do that?
Well, Martha, I tend to agree with my counterpart here. I think that your upbringing has a lot to do with how you make decisions, how you move through life. I grew up in a household where it was an abusive environment. So my mother never really had an opportunity to be who she was truly in front of me. So I didn't have a model. I didn't have a way of seeing this is what a woman is. This is how a woman functions. Not a mother, not a wife, but a mother. A woman, I'm sorry. So as I grew up in that abusive environment, I was not the center of attention ever.
Wow.
And so I didn't have a problem with achieving. That was just something that God had gifted me with. Everywhere I went, I excelled. Everything I did, I excelled. I had a lot of cheerleaders along the way, but I still did not understand how important it was for me to make decisions for me. Didn't know how to make decisions for me.
Right.
So I didn't get that growing up. And I think for so many in their households, if they're not seeing an example, they're not teaching them how to decide for you before you decide for him and for the little ones and for some employer somewhere.
That's right.
You know, if you're not ever taught that, you don't know how to go about that. You don't even know it really exists.
Sure.
That's right. That's right.
So so that for me kind of catapulted me into doing things the same way that my mother did.
Wow.
Fortunately, I wasn't in an abusive home, but being in that environment gave me some other things I was looking out for. So I was going to go overboard in caring for my family. I was going to go overboard in making sure we were protected. I went overboard in so many areas that caused me to put myself in a box, tuck it away, and never open it again.
Wow.
And I was good with that. Didn't know how it would affect me later in life.
Wow. You overcompensated so that everyone else could be okay in your life and in your space. You know, I hear as a child coming from an abusive household, coming from having a very strong mother, but having an abusive and alcoholic stepfather, that really just it did something to the little girl.
Absolutely.
And you know, and part of that was worrying about whether or not he would carry out his wishes, the things that he would say, whether or not he really was going to do that. And so as I grew up, I didn't understand who my power. I didn't understand, you know, taking care of who I am and putting myself first, because I never, ever, ever saw my mom put herself first.
Bingo.
My mom took care of everyone else. And when I say she's amazing, she is amazing, but she took care of everyone else. And I never saw her buy herself things because she wanted to make sure that we were taken care of. I never saw her go on vacation. She would lack in anything she needed to lack in so that we and the people around her, even her nieces and her nephews, could be okay.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest lessons that she taught me, and you said something very clear and very powerful about that, was she taught me how to love myself. She said to me one day, I was on the sofa, I was probably 21, you know, in my feelings because the guy that I was dating couldn't go out that night. And I'm just moping. And my mom walked past me. She went in the laundry room. She came back out. She said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I want to go out. I want to go out, but Anthony's not available." And she looked at me and she snatched the covers off of me. And she said, "Don't you ever wait for someone else to make you happy."
Amen.
She said, "What I want you to do is go in your room and I want you to get dressed and I want you to put on the outfit that you want to put on. And I want you to carry yourself out to dinner. And I want you to order what you want to order that your money can pay for, and that you learn how to enjoy and love who you are." Sure. Because when you do not love yourself and enjoy who you are and know what you want, she looked at me and she said, "You'll always fall for anything.
Absolutely.
And this day you will not fall for that." And she took me, I got up and I did exactly what I needed to do in order to make sure that one day I could share with other awesome women that it's okay to put yourself first. Adrienne, you look like you had some glistening and gleaming going on in your eyes, you know, and so you look like you want to share and say something with us.
I did have a lot of things churning inside of me, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing and being so open with your stories. As I'm listening to you, we are all going back to, y'all know I'm a big person that gets to the root of things, right?
Yes, yes.
We got to go back to the root. You want to kill something, you got to kill it from the root. You got to pull the entire thing out of the ground. And the way that we are thinking and believe about ourselves, the journey to us getting lost started a long time ago.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. The roots are in our childhood. And Crystal, when you said the later you find yourself, the easier it is to lose it again.
Yep.
Something leapt on the inside of me. Leaped. That's right. I'm an educator. Leap, all of that. All of that was happening. Okay?
Yeah, I got scared.
Okay. Yes. Past perfect, present perfect, future perfect, all of that. Something, there was a quickening inside of me.
Right.
Because that made me even more aware of the need, the right that we have, and the responsibility that we have to discover and rediscover who we are every single day, because she is changing.
That's
and
right.
she is growing,
Yes.
and she is ever evolving. I got goosebumps.
Yes.
Oh, I wish the podcast viewers, listeners could see the goosebumps on
Yes.
my arm. It is a powerful thing when you make that discovery and when you are committed, no matter what, to manifesting who she is supposed to be.
That's right.
Who's her? When in that rediscover her,
Yes.
Yes.
when you discover her, and you never, ever, 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 ever are willing to let go of that, that's an empowering thing.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Your life will never ever be the same again. The people around you will never ever be the
Absolutely.
same again.
That's right.
And you will then be able to manifest the purpose.
Yes.
You'll be then be able to impact the lives that you, only you, have been called to touch. That's
Absolutely.
what this platform is all about.
Man, I tell
Right
you
now.
what.
Woo!
I tell you
Come
what.
on,
All right
Yes.
now.
Come on.
Come
now.
All
through
right now.
somebody. If you don't know me by now,
What?
You will
you will
never,
never know me.
ever know me. And I tell you what, this platform is so needed.
Yes, it is.
And I thank God that He chose us to bring this platform to light, and that we were obedient enough to
right.
step into the unknown so that others
Absolutely.
could know exactly that they are possible too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that every dream,
Yes.
goal, mission, and purpose embedded in every woman that's listening
That's
and
right.
those few good men,
That's right.
that you can
right.
make it happen.
That's right. It's possible.
It is possible. So as we pause for the cause, ladies and gentlemen, and we go to pay homage to some of our sponsors here, I want you to take a break to process what was said here just a few moments ago. Make sure you have a pen and paper and join us
right.
back on the other side as we continue our conversation with Cristal and Melinda in the Real Talk Studios. All right, ladies. Welcome back to Real Talk, Real Women as we continue our conversation in the studio with Cristal and Melinda on how they lost themselves in the midst of everyone else. Before we paused for the cause, we were talking about how easy it is for women to lose themselves in the midst of the name change and the titles, and sometimes our careers as well. So I want to transition now for about the next 15 minutes, ladies. I want to transition into, when did you discover that you had lost her, and how did you feel? But I want you to listen to the last part. I want you to give me the real deal holy feel on how you truly felt when you discovered that you lost her in the midst of everything else. Cristal, we're going to start with you.
So I realized that I had lost me around the third year of my marriage. And it had begun to get abusive shortly after the birth of my first child. And once, life is going full steam ahead. I'm trying to be a wife, trying to be a new mother. At this time that I was found out that I was pregnant with my son, my mother was also diagnosed with breast cancer. So now she was terminally ill. And I felt like the timing of it, God gave me my son to focus on so that I would not pour all of me into caring for my mother. Because he knew that's what would happen. If I didn't have anything else to focus on, that would become the number one. So I had to look inside myself and really focus on staying healthy, keeping my stress level low, I was in graduate school. I was working full time, dealing with, an abusive husband.
Wow.
All of these other things. I was an officer in Delta.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I was tutoring. I was just had all iron, all plates on the stove, whatever.
Sure.
And once I realized that there was no me in any of it, that's the realization when I found out I was depressed.
Wow.
And that I had been in a state of depression for almost a year. And I was literally going through the motions. And the only thing that brought any joy or any light to my face was the fact that, well, wait a minute. can't be anything wrong with me. Surely I'm the one that always has to have it together.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the one that's always there for everybody else. So I can't fall apart.
Wow.
I can't fall to pieces. And my son needs me. Mm-hmm. And I would pray to God, what is this that you have for this in me? I'm not in this. I've lost myself. I don't do anything I used to enjoy other than Delta. All my time is spent with my son to keep from dealing with my husband, or I'm at work. And so I was mad.
Wow.
Because I was like, right. I'm 33 years old. I'm 34 years old. Mm-hmm. Surely some of the things on my bucket list I should have been able to accomplish at this point other than gainfully employed and traveling.
That's right.
And so I was literally just mad at God and, but mad enough, kind of like you're so mad at your parent that you're frustrated, but that's who you go to.
Absolutely.
Try to figure out why. And so it drew me closer to him, even though that's who I was mad at.
Wow.
For having me in this position. I've done everything you asked. I was always that child that crossed every T, dotted every I, never got in trouble, never had nobody calling home, wondering where I was, none of that. Mm-hmm. And now I have to deal with this.
Wow.
And so I was mad.
Wow. And I like the fact that you use mad, because I always tell people, get mad, make a decision,
right?
Make a decision to remove yourself out of that space and that place, and anything that's not feeding you and that's not allowing you to be healthy and uplifting and rewarding to you, you need to get mad and make a decision in order for you to be able to walk away from it. So, Melinda, I saw you over there, and I saw you thinking. I saw you thinking. I saw you looking. I saw you really processing this segment here, and I want you to share with our listeners on when did you discover that you had lost her, and how did that make you feel? How did you feel about that?
Well, it was much later in life when I discovered it. As I was saying before, I was so busy overcompensating for things that were wrongly done unto me growing up that I didn't even know.
That's right.
I didn't know. I had no clue I was in a bad place. As long as I was caring for everyone, I was good. Mm-hmm. Well, then my divorce happened.
Right.
Still, I'm all about what's best for my children. Whatever I need to do for my family, not even considering me.
A team player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, of course, your children get older.
That's right.
Right.
25 years later, you look up and you go, I don't even have to go home if I don't have to.
Right.
I don't have to leave work and run home and take care of anyone.
Right.
Fear.
Wow.
Fear hit me because I had no idea what to do.
Wow.
I had no idea where to go. I couldn't figure out what I used to enjoy. I didn't know what I used to enjoy.
That's right.
Couldn't remember.
Didn't know where to start.
Wow.
I had no friends because of things that happened in my past. I isolated myself from females because of bad experiences.
That's right.
I remember you saying that.
So I had no girlfriends. I had no one to care about me at that moment.
Absolutely.
At that moment. And so I was hurt. Wow. I cried. I was angry at myself for allowing myself to get into this situation.
That's right.
And immediately I was afraid to tell anyone what I was going through. I didn't want people to know I didn't have it all together.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't want anyone to know I was struggling in any way, shape, or form.
That's that mask we wear.
So for years, I struggled. Wow. I struggled with emotions. I struggled with so much for years because I was just upset and angry. And if this person had not done this, my life would be here. If that person had not done this, I would be here. Didn't once think, you need to look at yourself, girl.
That's right.
Because you made all these decisions. Didn't nobody tie you up and say, this is what you're going to do. No one held a gun to my head.
And that's the thing that you just said something very powerful, because so many times, like you did, you started to blame everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one day you looked at yourself in the mirror and you realized that you made those decisions
Right.
to
Yes.
allow
Yeah.
people to put you in these situations.
Yes.
You made that decision to do what you wanted to do for your family, your children. You made that decision
Yes.
to put yourself at the bottom. You made the decisions not to show people how to treat you and what it was that you wanted, because
Yes.
you lost yourself so long ago that when you had the opportunity to find Melinda,
Yeah.
and you did, but fear, false expectations appearing real
Yes.
started to appear in your space and place, which made you shiver to come out of your comfort zone, which was your prison and your broke
What?
zone
Better say it.
that
That's right.
allowed
Better
you
say
to
it.
stay imprisoned where you were. And that was in your mind.
Yes.
That was in your space.
That's right.
And so often, because we wear that mask,
Oh,
we
yeah.
look so good.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we dress up and people, they never know that you're so beautiful and you don't have it all together. And then when you go home, you take that mask off and you start to cry because you see the real person
Yes.
that you see, and that person is suffering because she settled
Yes.
in that space and place for her. So I tell you, that's so powerful. And I thank you. I thank you for being authentically truthful to let us know that fear hijacked, almost held you hostage
Yes.
from rediscovering her again and taking care of those three most important people in your life: me, myself, and I. And so I thank you for your authenticity and your transparency. And Adrian, I see you. You're leaping, baby. You're leaping. You're leaping, baby. What do you want to
I'm
say,
leaping
Adrian?
Again. First of all, let me say to our guests that I'm just so grateful for your transparency, because I heard you talk about walking every day, wearing a facade, living with functional depression, being angry, feeling stuck, walking in a place of fear, just being a pretender, a fake, a phony.
Yes.
Right? And when you one day looked up in the mirror and didn't even recognize who it was that you were looking at, even though it was your own image, that you realized and recognized that something had to shift.
Yes.
And so I want to encourage everybody who's listening to get real about where you are. You know, Martha said the real deal, Holyfield. The kids nowadays say, keep it 100, right?
Yes.
Keep it 100 with
Yes.
yourself. You've got to be real about where you're starting. That's the first thing a GPS asks you, right? When you want to go somewhere,
Right.
where are you starting? It wants to know where you are. And so we've got to get real about uncovering these beliefs that have been, and these lies that have been told to us if we're going to activate the changes in our lives that we want to see. So I'm excited to continue this dialogue with you all and learn so much.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to be so beneficial to our listeners today. Thank you.
Wow. I tell you what, and it saddens me because we're coming on to the end of we're getting ready to transition into our third segment, and but not before we take that break.
All right.
And we pause for the cause. So join us on the other side, because on the other side, we are going to share some juicy and some things that you can do and utilize for yourself so that you never, ever, ever have to search for her again. So join us here in a few moments in the Real Talk, Real Women studio. All right, ladies and those few good men, welcome back to the final leg of Real Talk, Real Women. Today, with these three amazing women inside of our studio, we have Cristal, we have Melinda, and we have my hot sauce that's in the studio, Miss Adrian Johnson. Ladies, we are back here, and we are getting ready to be unapologetically who we are. So we have shared with you all some of our most vulnerable moments in our lives on how we lost ourselves. Now we're going to talk about how they rediscovered her and what are some steps that they've had to take to put in place to ensure that they never lose her again. But before we do that, Adrian want to share something with us.
Absolutely. Well, during our short pause, I was advised by our executive assistant here that people don't say keep it 100 anymore. Nor do they say the real deal Holyfield, so we need to stop saying that. So we're going to bring it into the 21st century and say, ladies, thank you for, stop capping. Don't cap. No cap. No cap.
Okay.
Is that right?
There's no cap.
Yeah, so we're going to say no cap. All right, we're gonna let Holyfield just retire.
This is the real deal, Holyfield.
Yeah, and we're not gonna say keep it 100.
Okay, keep it 100.
Yeah, but
we have to bring it into the
relevant
with
to
the youth.
Today's audience.
So no capping.
No cap.
Okay. Well, that's sort of like the other day. My son is sitting around, and my son is standing, and then my son looked at my daughter and he said, I'm about to pop a squat.
What? Okay.
I looked at him and I said, excuse me?
What does that mean?
I said, excuse me, son, are you about to sit down? Yes, Mom, I'm about to pop a squat. So I guess we, being 50, fine and sexy, we have to keep up with
we must keep
the vernacular that these youth are using today. So as we transition and move forward, we are going to talk about how they, and that means all of us here, have rediscovered her, and what are some steps that we've put in place to ensure that we never lose her again. Melinda, what are some things that you did in order to rediscover her, and what are some steps you put in place so that you'll never lose Melinda Cloud again?
Well, Martha, first and foremost, let me say that as I stated before, I was never a female gatherer. I didn't like the invitations to the wallpapering parties and all the showers and things like that. That just wasn't me. I prided myself on being a tomboy. Well, since then, God has done some things in my life. One of the things that he did for me was introduce me to you ladies. So November 3rd, 2018, my life changed. I stepped into a room and I said, oh my God, it's a lot of women. And immediately I was like, this is not going to go well for me.
That's right.
Until my sister Adrian got up and started wanting me to go to the root.
That's right.
And in going to the root, it caused me to examine exactly what was going on in my life. I immediately felt at ease and that I was in a safe place.
That's right.
And so since then, being a part of Martha Cooper Hudson's programs and just allowing myself to be free, allowing myself to be in the moment, and actually just making sure that I give opportunities a chance.
That's right.
You were an opportunity in my life. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for God having you text me and say, Melinda, you need to come.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I did. And since then, I've grown so much. I mean, I used to say, I can't go back.
That's
right.
To go back is to die.
Yes,
That's
it
right.
is.
That's right.
And I cannot go back. Every time I feel a little nudging that I'm going in the wrong direction,
That's right.
I go, oh no, I can't. I start to hyperventilate and I start to suffocate. And I cannot do that.
That's right.
So a few of the things that I do is remind myself that no matter what, I am important on this earth.
Yes.
I do have a purpose in this place. Another thing that I do is I understand at all times that God has a plan for me, no matter what my age is. I'm 56. And so regardless of how old you are, there is a plan and a purpose until you leave here.
That's right.
And that has to resonate in you. That has to sit in you and sit for a while, because so many times we feel like once we've accomplished certain things, our work is done. We are never done.
We are
never done. And then the final thing is I do not allow fear to enter my space anymore. It cannot come here, because all it is letting me know I'm entering a place out of the box.
That's right.
And I don't want to stay in the box.
That's right.
So to get out of the box, there's good things down the road for me. So I embrace that little feeling of fear. I embrace it and I go, okay, here we go. Whatever season we're entering in, I'm embracing that.
That's right.
I'm embracing that. And so I just want to encourage everyone and just, if no matter what, you take anything from me, it is you cannot go back. Once you start, you cannot go back. You have to understand that your life depends on it.
Yes.
Your well-being depends on it. Your peace of mind depends on you moving forward and never looking back.
That's right.
You know, I have a saying that I tell my kids and my husband, I don't do do-overs. We don't do do-overs. And so for you to go backwards is doing over again. And so you can never do do-overs when it comes down to you. Because when you do over, you tend to make them same mistakes that you made and you left back there. So we don't do do-overs here. And I tell you, Melinda, the life I see in you from November, when you walked into Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and you came to one of our brunches that we had, and the tears that you shared that day, but you got mad enough to make a decision that you will never be in that space again.
Never.
So you were willing to open your heart up to women who's been created to equip, inspire, motivate, and empower every woman that hears the sound of our voice. And we authentically do it with all of our heart.
That's right.
You were willing to receive what God had for you that day. And because you received it, honey, you are flying like the eagle that you were created to be, and it shows and it resonates through your skin, your beauty, your hair. It gave you a new.
Praise God. Praise God for that. Praise God.
It gave you a new appearance because you were created in a new image of him. And I am just so excited about what God has for you, what he will do through you and your business, and how your transparency is going to impact the lives of so many women. So I thank you. I thank you for sharing that. And I want Cristal, I want you to share with us what are some steps you took to rediscover her, and what did you put in place to ensure that you never, ever, ever lose Cristal Watson again?
So, unfortunately, and I don't wish it on anyone, but God forced me to rediscover myself through a breast cancer diagnosis.
All right.
So 2013 was the year that I ended up back on the list. And I was determined through journaling to put me at the top of that list under God. And I'd been divorced 3 years. I already knew how to do that.
Right.
So, I already knew how to be a single mom. Sure. Because unfortunately I was a single mom while I was married.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And so many women are.
Yes.
But won't share that.
There was no transition once I got divorced.
That's right.
My friends were in awe. Of, oh my gosh, how are you doing this? Well, I don't know anything else but to do what I need to do.
Right.
But I'm going to do it differently.
That's right.
Once I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was forced to depend on others to help me get the things I needed done. And I had to become the priority because I need to be here for my children.
That's right.
And God's not done with me yet, apparently. I'm coming up on 5 years.
That's right. Whoop, whoop,
and I'm a survivor. And so in that time, not only did I put myself back at the top of the list, but I started to rediscover the things that I enjoyed. Getting back to, music, dancing, just having a good time, enjoying my children authentically and without apology, and not feeling guilty when I tell people no. That is the most powerful word in my vocabulary. I'll tell you anybody, it is a complete sentence.
What?
It does not require any explanation.
That's right.
I stopped explaining and justifying why I'm not going to do that to people.
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
I'm just not.
Period.
How liberating is that? How liberating is that?
I mean, I don't know. You gotta get this air, your shoulders roll back, you walk a little different. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I don't do unnecessary. So the with them is it. What's in it for me? If it's not something that I benefit from at some point in time, it becomes unnecessary. And so I've done a lot of streamlining. I've got back into my Thursday night long soaks with lavender and Epsom salt
now.
And my love of music and all that. And
BBD.
Yes.
New edition.
And then, yes.
Johnny Gill.
Yes.
John
Anita
B.
Baker. Yes. All that good stuff. And then just last year, I added traveling.
Yes.
I hadn't had a vacation in 14
That's
years, y'all.
phenomenal.
My
Wow.
oldest is now 16.
That's right.
Hello.
Wow.
And so I made sure I went to my favorite place that I had been so many times before, and put my toes in the sand and enjoyed the waters, the crystal blue waters of Jamaica.
Yeah, Ivory Mine.
Yes. And I said,
Yeah.
from now on, every other year, I must go somewhere
Sure.
by myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
For me, myself.
For me,
and
myself,
I.
and
myself. That's right.
By myself. And then earlier this year, I too said yes, like Melinda, to Adrian and Martha, and decided to boss up in my purpose.
All right now.
And stop putting to the wayside the things that God has deposited in me as purpose, and to begin to work. And so I've been doing that as well. And so I'm ready.
Wow. Yes, you are, honey. I am ready. And you said something, because that was the first program that Melinda actually joined through our Leadership Academy.
Yes.
It was the I Am Ready 4-week program
That is awesome.
that truly allowed her to see what was holding her back. The walls that was surrounding her, changed her mindset, and it gave her actionable steps that she needed to take in order for her to ensure that she never, ever, ever,
That's right.
ever lost her again. So I tell you what, Adrian, would you like to share something with that before we close out on today?
As it relates to ensuring that you never ever lose her again, ladies, you have been such an amazing example of putting yourself first. The principle of I must give from a place of overflow, because I heard you all talk about anger and bitterness and resentment, and really not feeling good about who you were. You saw things in yourselves that you didn't really like. I'm pretty sure you weren't the nicest people at that time, right?
That's true.
Believe it or not, I was more nice than I am now. I think that's the difference.
That was before you learned the power of no, right?
Yeah.
I was too nice.
You were too nice.
Yes.
That's right. And so once you got on that road to self-discovery, never, ever, 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 ever turning back. Feeding yourself first, putting on the oxygen mask first, so that you can be your best self, so that you can give others the best of you, not what's left of you.
Amen. Amen to that.
All right. I wish our listeners can latch on to that. Put yourself first so that you can give people the best and not the leftovers.
Wow, ladies. I have chills all over my arms. I'm so excited. If you can only see the insides of me, you would say, man, she is glowing on the inside. But I want you ladies to share with us, what do you have coming up next? What's next for you? What's coming up for you, Crystal?
Other than sports.
Other than sports, yes. Listen, we are football moms, soccer moms, all of the above, because we still have children that are still in school, unlike our other two counterparts in here who have adult children at this moment in time. So, Crystal, what's coming up for you?
So I'm currently working on my 5 E's to succeed, and putting that package together to launch my business, and also working on my book, my first how-to book.
Yes,
for transitioning from middle school to high school.
Yes. I'm excited about your new projects that's coming up. And Melinda, what do you have coming up?
Well, I'm coming up with my first parent session, which will be in October 5th and 12th. I'm going to be doing some parent informational sessions just to kind of get parents aware of the opportunities outside of the court. Your child doesn't make the team. What do? They still want to be a part. There are avenues, and those avenues can pay off.
That's right.
When it comes to college. So October 5th and 12th, I'll be doing some parent meetings.
Great.
And then following up in November with a series of camps for the youth.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. I can't wait, because this is a vision that you talked about that's now becoming reality.
Oh, my
and so
goodness.
I
Yes.
can't wait until that happens. And how can our listeners follow you out there on the social media platform, since we have to be on it, even though we're 50 plus, right?
That's right.
So how can they follow you all on social media?
So currently I'm just me on Facebook, Crystal C. Polk. You can find me and send me a friend request.
Absolutely. What about you, Melinda?
I am on Instagram and Twitter as B.E.A.M McLeod, and I am on Facebook as B.E.A.M.McLeod.
So you have it, listeners. I am getting sad because we are at the end of this segment. And I tell you what, my bold, beautiful, and unapologetic girlfriends that's listening to this episode of Real Talk, Real Women, I want to thank each and every one of our listeners for taking the time out to thinking enough of this platform and this podcast in order for us to be able to bring this platform to you all. And I want to thank our amazing guests who joined us in the Real Talk studios today, Miss Cristal Watson and Miss Melinda Cloud, for joining us along with the super duper co-host, my hot sauce, Miss Adrienne M. Johnson, for being my ride or die sister friend. Girl, you know how I feel about you, honey.
Yes,
you are closer. Closer. All right now. You know, for taking this journey with me to equip, inspire, motivate, and empower the woman, her life, and her business. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes under Real Talk, Real Women, on TuneIn, iClouds, iHeart, YouTube, and Stitcher Radio. Also follow us on our social media platforms at Real Talk, Real Women. And personally, you can join us at Martha Cooper Hudson and Adrienne M. Johnson on all of our social media platforms. Now, join us next week when we are joined by three fearless women as we talk about being unapologetically me. We will leave no stones unturned. But as usual, we are going to have my hot sauce take us out with her soulful vocals for Real Talk, Real Women.
Me, myself, and I, that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. Hey, from now on, I'm gonna be my own best friend. And me, myself, and I, that's all I got in the end. Y'all come on and rock with us. See y'all next time.
Hey, thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining us this week on Real Talk, Real Women. Make sure you visit www.marthacooperhudson.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast. And while you're at it, join our Facebook group at www.realtalkrealwomengroup.com.